Just a heads up, we're recording now, so be on your best behavior. And we're just waiting on Tara. I don't have any frantic messages or emails from him. He puts a link, please. 1 second.
Oh, so I think she said the reports will move to audit trail. She thinks I could do it in there, but she wasn't sure. That was the word I was looking for.
We'll harass her. We can harass her after. We can always take us there. She can't, she's on mute, so she can't harass me for saying we'll harass her. There he is.
This should be good. Okay.
All right, it's 1 o'clock.
No more. Don't need that.
We are recording this, so you can check it out again on demand. Jared has just shared the slide deck, so I'll let him take it away. You're mute. Yeah, hold on. Well, you're not mute on here. I haven't muted you.
Can you not hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
Whatever you did worked.
All right. Tell me when you want me to start.
You can start now.
Right. Well, good afternoon, and thank you all for joining. My name is Jared Cheatham, and I look after the operations and service delivery team at Momentum. I've been in this role for about 6 months, and I haven't yet had a chance to meet all of you customers there. However, I am ancient in Laserfiche years and have worked with most of the Momentum team through my various roles at Laserfiche. For context, the first product release I went through at Laserfiche was 4.2G. That was when we released Novell NetWare versions before Windows NT versions came out. Today, I'm joined by Mally Hart, our marketing director. Mally's the reason our digital presence and communications are so professional. She's passionate about building community amongst the Momentum team and our customer base, and is spearheading our efforts to bring you regularly scheduled webinars like this one. Mally, do you want to introduce our customers?
I sure do. All righty. First off, we've got the lovely Sharon Ramsey, who, while she is the Director of Records and Information Governance at Greystone Power, there's a lot more to her. She just got back from Spain, where she had a lot of paella, and she checked out a lot of historic buildings, and she walked. Next up, we have Rafael Rodriguez. He is the Laserfiche administrator with the absentee Shawnee tribe, and he also enjoys music and video games. Lisa Johnson. Okay, most of you guys already know Lisa. You worked with her when she was running the Momentum help desk, and she did a fantastic job. But when she's not doing a fantastic job with Laserfiche, she likes to hang out with her grandchildren and look for rocks, because once a geologist, always a geologist. I got Talib Briscoe here, and I have worked with Talib for a long time, but it was always just basically through support tickets. So it was really great to get to meet him in person at Empower, and I'm so glad he joined us on the panel. And finally, we have August Barrios. He's the IT specialist and the deputy sheriff at the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office, and that is spelled incorrectly. I apologize for that. Paris only has one R. And he has been gardening lately. He's been gardening vegetables and some sunflowers too. So that is the panel.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you have the wrong slide deck, Jared. I was just actually messaging you that. One
One
second.
second.
Technical difficulty.
That would. Okay, we'll pretend that didn't happen. And I will share my screen again.
This is the first webinar we've all done with this platform. So
All right, you should see Tessia's face there. It's my distinct pleasure to introduce Tessia as our special guest from Laserfiche. Tessia and I worked together when she joined Laserfiche almost 10 years ago. She started on the Laserfiche consulting team as an engineer and then as a project manager, where she implemented solutions that really pushed the limits of what Laserfiche could do. She then moved from that team to the Laserfiche product team, where she brings her real world perspective about what people really need from the software versus what software developers think people need to the development team. We're really lucky to have her as our guide to what's coming from Laserfiche 12 today, and to bring your questions and feedback back to Laserfiche as they continue to refine the releases.
Excited to be here.
All right, just to give a little preamble here, at Momentum, we had a chance to hear a presentation from the Laserfiche CTO at a service provider conference in February. And during that presentation, Michael kept stressing the scope and significance of Laserfiche 12. And ever since then, I've been trying to share that sentiment with our customers who are running a self-hosted implementation of Laserfiche, what you would call an on-premise or on-premises deployment. Aside from all of the exciting features, Laserfiche 12 represents a commitment from Laserfiche to maintaining a self-hosted deployment option for organizations that aren't ready to move to Laserfiche Cloud. So unlike most folks, they're not forcing you into one channel. They're going to keep maintaining the self-hosted software. They're even updating the stuff that you install on your computer. That's how deep they're going with this. There's really too much to the Laserfiche 12 release to include in a single presentation or a single webinar. And also, since it's a multi-year rollout, there are features and components that will be included that don't even exist yet. So what we've tried to do is we've tried to organize the presentation into sections based on 3 major areas of interest, the things that people got to test and were really excited about. There are improvements in the way you organize and utilize metadata. There's the new test mode for business processes and what that gives you in terms of flexibility and the ability to update your processes, and the new administration hub, which is a huge improvement in the admin tools that are available for system administrators or the folks who are managing and running the Laserfiche deployments. For each of these sections, Tessia is going to provide an overview of the features and show some highlights via screenshot and video demos. And then we'll also hear feedback from our customer panel, the folks who had a chance to test drive the software at Empower. And then we'll also pause for questions that people have before we move on to the next topic. So if you have questions as Tessia is presenting, please submit them through the Q&A option at the top of your screen. And then Mally will make sure that we address them when we pause for questions. So with that, I'm going to hand control over to Tessia so she can get started and talk about what you really came here for. So Tessia, you should be able to click the mouse buttons and take it away.
Thanks, Jared. Hopefully everyone can hear me loud and clear, but like Jared introduced me earlier, I'm Tessia Au. I'm very excited to be here to hear both what everyone experienced at Empower and also some initial feedback that you may have on some of these new features that the team is putting in a lot of hard work for. The number one first item that we have is in regards to metadata enhancements. So in Laserfiche 12, one of the big enhancements pieces that we are planning to roll out is updates to that right-hand metadata pane that everyone may be familiar with, in which you have been interfacing and indexing your documents for countless of years right now. Now, what we are going to be updating here is an updated visual on how you're presented with information on the right-hand pane. So no longer do you have to just look at the data from top down. You can enter and display the data in an intuitive way that makes sense for your organization, along with the ability to show and hide fields based off of various inputs. The whole idea here is to help enable users input and read their data as they expect to, and reduce any mistakes that may happen when you are typing in information at a very fast time, or you're restricted from how the layout has been in the past. So we're really transforming your metadata from the top-down experience that you may be familiar with to something on the right-hand pane with updated field types like radio buttons, checkboxes. You could utilize tables, and also functionality like side-by-side fields. The idea here is really, like I mentioned earlier, is to make that data entry easier for your end users. So if you're familiar with forms, it's bringing some of that idea of how you're building out the forms, how you could easily utilize the designer layout to create these custom metadata panes that makes the most sense. So just to quickly highlight how you would be building these inside metadata is utilizing the drag and drop functionality. If you utilize business processes or forms, you may be familiar with that. The interface is very similar, and you can utilize various field rules to control whether a field should be showing or hiding, or even conditionally required based off of various inputs on other fields themselves. Oops. So very quick, brief just explanation of Laserfiche 12 metadata enhancements. I know that there is some feedback from some of our panelists here, so I'll give you all some time to chime in at this point in time.
Sharon, why don't you lead us off?
Okay, thanks for having me. One of the first things I noticed when I took the Empower demo were some of the metadata enhancements, and specifically radio buttons and checkboxes. And, you know, typically when a user needs to make a choice, they will use a radio button for if you're asking them to pick one option from a short list of things. They'll use checkboxes if you need them to select multiple items from a list. And you might use a drop-down field if you have a really long list of options. Now, what I liked about these enhancements is what Tessia pointed out. The radio buttons and the checkboxes can be shown side by side in the metadata pane, just like they might appear on a form. It's so much easier for your users and developers to see all of the choices and options that you have for that particular field. Another thing that I really liked was the customizable other option, which you can see at the bottom of the checkbox section on the metadata pane on the slide. This allows users to choose an other option and actually type in some free-form text there. So it just really gives a lot more flexibility, and I think people are really going to like it.
Thanks, Sharon. All right, Lisa, can you chime in next, please?
Sure. What I like about this is it's now making this process easier for the non-tech people. Oftentimes I will get calls about very complicated forms that have a lot of hide fields. So there's a lot of left unblank fields in the metadata when you scroll down. and people are thinking things got missed, or we didn't get the data, didn't get exported down into the repository. With being able to hide those fields now, people are going to actually see what they need to see and not think that for some reason the data didn't get pushed down from forms, which is a common thing I get from people who just, aren't on the tech spectrum, high tech spectrum. So it's, to me, much more user friendly.
All right, thanks, Lisa. And now to leave, you had a question which Tessia put on the summary slide. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and ask that question, and then she can answer while she summarizes. You gotta unmute.
Okay, there we go. There we go. I guess my main question was when we do upgrade our existing forms, our existing documents that have the metadata in the standard form now, how will that show up to us? Will it should show the same until we make changes, or will it look a little different?
Yeah, it will look the same until
Mhm.
you make the changes. So
Okay.
with the upgrade to 12, you shouldn't expect any of your data to go away at any point in time. The display will look exactly the same until you choose to update the metadata display as you please. So in terms of backwards compatibility, that will be included.
Mhm.
So you can easily transform your existing templates if you choose to, but if you don't choose to, then that data will still exist as is for your users, and they won't really experience much of a difference yet.
Okay, that answers that.
Thank you, Teresa.
Awesome.
Just a quick
One
reminder.
one thing, Tessia, that line compatibility view for older clients, that's not for old people who can't deal with change. That's for the older applications, such as the Laserfiche Windows client, correct?
Correct.
All righty. I just wanted to remind everybody, if you have a question, you can shoot them in early. We will sprinkle them throughout the presentation. So you just use the Q&A little graphic at the bottom of your screen, and I will monitor those questions and shoot them to Tessia. So sorry, Tessia, continue summarizing.
No, awesome. Thank you for that, Melly. Like we had, like Jared just mentioned, it's not for older clients. It's definitely referencing the desktop clients that we have. There is going to be compatibility for you to view your metadata with the updated metadata enhancements in those client applications. So I know a lot of people hold those desktop clients near and dear to their heart. You'll still be able to view the metadata that you designed with the updated metadata enhancements there. In the first couple iterations, it may look a little bit differently, but the data will all be there for you to view and read and put some inputs into. Just to do a quick recap, once again, an intuitive data entry experience is coming with these metadata enhancements. Those fan favorites of checkboxes, radio buttons, and customizable other options are going to be available for better list handling, as well as table views so that you don't have to rely on collections of fields anymore. You could have that in that table view functionality if you choose to. Along with that, there's side-by-side field adjustability, and then the ability to show and hide and also do potential conditional required fields if that is something that is of interest to your processes. And then something that I'm actually very excited for, and it's simple, but instructional text so that individuals can know exactly how to interface with your right-hand metadata panes without having to read a whole instructional guide. Any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat once again, and we'll get to them when I see them. So the next feature that everyone got to experience at Empower was Forms test mode. So if you have been building business processes, or maybe you even just interact with your business processes at your organization, I don't know about you, but in the past, I have definitely accidentally spammed the whole entire company while testing out a process that was not meant to spam the whole company. And so with Laserfiche Forms test mode, the idea here is that you don't, one, put your production production data at risk by mixing test data with production data, nor do you risk accidentally spamming individuals that may not be involved with your testing process, such as actual managers or the e-everyone group at an organization. So rather than spending hours troubleshooting or testing, we've created testing rules that are a part of your business processes now that allow you to swap in various email addresses or assignees to your tasks that may be a part of your processes. So you could test critical processes without needing to have any downtime if that process has to continue to go live. But it is also a great opportunity for you to train new employees on internal forms without the risk of interfering with production data, because you could swap them in to these processes pretty seamlessly with these rules. So a quick little video demo of how this would work. If I have an AP order request process that is currently live in the system, I have a manager approval process. I want to test my process out here, but I don't necessarily want to actually spam that manager who's a part of this AP order request process. So instead, I have set up these rules so that I can replace all the email addresses, the actual user task assignment with myself as the initiator, so that when I actually run through this process, so go next here. Type in some various test data, and I may not want this test data to mix with my production data either, but running it in test mode will allow for that separation between actual production data and test data when you look for it in Monitor. So that task has actually been assigned to me as the initiator without I having to go swap in all that information and potentially forgetting. And the emails are now forwarded to myself instead. Anyone that had indicated underneath those test process rules. Sorry, controlling Jerem's screen over here, so getting used to those clicks. But that is the summary of test mode. I don't know if there's any feedback we want to bring in here.
Yes, actually, one of our panelists, Raphael, has something to share that he noted and that seemed cool while he was doing the demo at Empower. So Raphael, take it away.
Yeah, so one of the cool things about what we have that is about to come out with the Laserfiche 12 platform is the ability to complete our timer catch events. And what that does is, instead of waiting a certain amount of time before a process continues on to the next step, it ends up being to where you can just manually complete that task. So it really does make the process a lot better in terms of testing on our end. And I really do enjoy, it's one of the main things that I really enjoyed, along with the testing. It's perfect. So it's kind of the gist of it.
Awesome to hear. Yeah, who wants to wait, 6 hours and 33 seconds for a task to complete, right?
That was great. We do not have any questions yet. I do have some questions that we took during the demos that we can do at the end if we don't have any customer questions. So go ahead, Tessia, and we will continue to the next step.
Awesome. Yeah, so forms test mode, you could see the emails like your actual recipients would. So, but this is all within a controlled environment, so you don't have to risk forgetting to swap information back and forth, or like myself, accidentally spamming everyone at the company over a test process that I was building. The last big feature that we had at Empower that was available for individuals to click around and prototype with was the Administration Hub. Now, this is a completely new feature to our Laserfiche 12 suite. So it's not an add-on to something like forms or metadata. This is a new administration feature that is going to help not just your admins, but everyone that may be a part of your Laserfiche team to, one, better locate information in regards to your Laserfiche system and troubleshoot and collect that data for support at any given time. So A lot of times I know that in order to understand your Laserfiche system, you have to know, where is everything installed? What servers do I have? What version is everything on? And that could be a yearly audit to make sure that these Excel sheets that you may be collecting all this information on is up to date. But we know that that's often very difficult to maintain, especially as you have new individuals join your team. So what the Admin Hub is meant to do is collect all of this information on your behalf so that you can easily understand what is part of your Laserfiche system and the different environments. So this includes server information, applications that are installed, version numbers, and even information such as like SQL Server information that a Laserfiche repository may have a part of it. So as a part of this Admin Hub, and a sneak peek right there, if you see on that right-hand side, something that's also coming to Laserfiche is a picker so that you could easily navigate from all the different Laserfiche applications from one given space. So not having to bookmark things nor remember links anymore. That is something that is an unintentional preview from this little video here. But navigating to the system overview page, one of the other ideas that is going to come out with Admin Hub, and this may be at a later iteration too, is a system connectivity overview in which you can understand exactly how your Laserfiche system is connected to each other, both from servers and also applications themselves. So what is actually connected to your Laserfiche server? Is that workflow? Is this the different web clients, etc.? Keep repeating the video because the little controls are just getting away from me really quick, so we gotta see it one more time. But what you just saw on the screen, I realized to skip to the next one, was we are also adding, like I mentioned, server information so that you could actually see what version everything is installed on your various little servers, and also status of your servers themselves and of the applications. So if a server isn't online or if an application service isn't online, you could see it all clearly from one space. And that way, if someone says, hey, my repository isn't running today, you can actually go to this page and say, well, it's because the Laserfiche server isn't online today, and be able to quickly navigate to the various configuration pages from here. Along with that, we're centralizing logging, so that way you do not have to dig through all the different servers themselves or have to go and realize where all the different logs are at. We're centralizing that all in one place. So if you ever have to create a support ticket anywhere, you can have support navigate to this page or export information to provide to them. And lastly, as part of this, we want to also enable easier access to know who to go to for support. So that includes, one, knowing who to contact on the Momentum team in the future, but also in any case, if you need to open up a support ticket, information there. So the idea is that both the Momentum team can provide that information for you on this page, and that way you as a Laserfiche admin, as a Laserfiche solution designer, you know who to contact rather than looking through maybe an old phone book that you may have. Along with that, we are targeting IT administrators right now and Laserfiche administrators on the first iteration of the release for this feature. We're going to go over the timeline later on of Laserfiche 12 release, but we're not releasing all of the functionality all at once for all of these different user bases that I have on the screen. We're first targeting the IT admins and Laserfiche admins because, one, you need to know what's going on in your system, and also so that we can target troubleshooting and enabling more efficient support first. From there, we want to move into understanding usage. So that could be license usage, workflow statistics, and form statistics on maybe how many forms are built in your system, how many workflows are being run, and general stats that will enable you to understand the ROI of Laserfiche at your organization. And then from there, we want to evolve this so that you can have a better understanding as a Laserfiche designer on not just how all the applications connect, but how all your solutions may be flowing within your various applications. So like I mentioned, coming in 2025, we hope to improve on Laserfiche usage statistics. So adding workflow, forms, and repository stats to what we had just presented on that you saw earlier on in the presentation. I think there's a couple questions, but I'll let the panelists speak first.
Well, first I want to introduce August, and he has something to share about the admin panel, and then I will ask the questions and let you answer them live. Okay, Tessie?
Awesome.
Take it away, August.
How y'all doing? Thanks for having me. I really like the admin console. I like the fact that I can see all my servers, all of the versions of everything. It makes it super simple to manage. In my field where I'm at, I spend the majority of my time in LFDS and in the admin console. I wanted to know if they were gonna is there a shortcut to go for? I hate the fact that it's two separate applications. I got to go over here to do all my licensing. Then I got to go over here and basically repeat the process, but at each repository. Is there ever going to be like a merger or some way to link it easier to where I don't have to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth all day long?
Yeah, so the
That's
idea
what I'm
of
wondering.
oh, go ahead.
No, that's what I was curious about because I spent a lot of time going back and forth because we have 1,500 users. So I'm all over the place.
Yeah, so the idea of the admin hub here is to provide that easier navigation path as well. But earlier, if you saw that little preview of that little app picker that I had shown on the screen, the app picker is also going to provide usability for you to go between all the different applications if you need to.
Okay.
But in terms of centralizing that navigation path between LFDS, knowing who is licensed, and then transferring that over into I'm assuming you're talking about web client administration. Is that correct?
I don't do web client at all.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
just
I have
LFDS
the
and then
Laserfiche administration console on my server, and then right next to it, I got LFDS. So I'm looking at both of them at the same time.
okay.
So I
Yeah.
got all my repository information over here. It's just I was curious if there was going to be a streamlined process, so it's not two applications anymore.
Yeah, that's what we're looking into. If for the first iterations, it will still be in those two different places, but we're hoping to help streamline the navigation between both, so you don't have to realize I have to constantly bookmark these two places. You could easily click from one place to the next.
Awesome. That'll make it a lot easier for me.
Yeah.
I think that
Thanks,
was it.
August.
You're
All
welcome.
right. All right, we have two questions in the Q&A panel, and then I have one from the notes I took during the demo. So first, our very own Aaron Thibodeau has asked, regarding the system topography, can you restrict the display of the system overview to certain repositories or servers?
Ooh, that is great feedback actually, because we were looking for understanding, what is our typical Laserfiche ecosystem size that we want to best support on that system topography page, because our concern is that we know that there's individuals out there with 20 plus servers, and how are we actually going to display that so one, we can all understand what is going on that topography information. So that's actually a great feedback point. So that I will bring back to the developers, because that would be awesome if you could restrict the display of your system overview to specific repositories or servers. Now, my question back to you, Aaron, is how would you label these servers? Is it by like environments, or is it by things that you just care about?
I think I can allow Erin to chime in. So give me 1 second. I have to just turn her on and say she's allowed to speak. There she is. All right. So she's allowed to talk. So unmute yourself, Erin, and respond to Tessie.
Okay, in our situation, what I'm thinking about is a particular business unit that has a separate Laserfiche environment, and they would want to understand the workflow and integrations that would be restricted to a server. And so that was specifically what I was talking about. They really would not want, for security reasons, them to see the infrastructure of other business unit applications at some of these utility companies.
Okay, no, that's perfectly valid. Okay, I'm writing that down right now.
All right. Tessie, when you're ready, I have a question from one of our customer attendees.
Mhm.
I'll let you finish writing. Will it be possible to visualize different environments such as test and production in the system overview?
Oh, yes. So that's going in line with, I think, what I was talking about earlier is that we would need to figure out a way for you to probably self-label the test and production servers that you may have involved in the system. But that is something we have been thinking about in the system overview page, is that way you can toggle specific servers to only display rather than the whole 20 plus servers if you have all of that involved.
And then, Tessia, I have a question that we took down during the demos. It was from Talib, so this is not my question, this is Talib's question. He says, how does the admin hub know what machines are in use? Do they have to be logged in? Is each login a machine?
That is a good question. So in terms of machines that are in use, we've actually been going through the design specs of this right now. So the idea is that one, we will try and find the machines based off of, LFDS, because LFDS does have all the machines that are currently involved in your licensing of your applications. But we know that there are systems that are pretty, restricted from being able to automatically find these machines out there. So if we can't automatically find the machines, then the need will be for you to do some sort of registration system for us to be able to have the admin hub communicate.
And then August had a question also from the notes we took during the demos. How far can you dial in on the admin console to the specific user terminal?
I'll need a little bit more clarification on that, August.
And then I will
Trying
let
to
August
remember what she was
clarify.
talking about. I'm trying to recall it. I don't remember. I was looking at that on the notes, and I'm like, I'm trying to remember what I was talking about. It's one of those days.
There will
Were you looking to zoom in further than servers, August? And maybe even like your scanning workstations or something like that?
Well, I know, and I can see what stations have what client level. I mean, I can see pretty much everything. I don't know what I was thinking. I honestly don't. If I remember, I'll put it in an email to Mally so she can pass it on because I don't remember. I'm sorry.
No, that's perfectly fine. When you remember, you let me know. I'll be here still.
Mallory, wasn't that one of my questions? Because I was
your
asking
question.
if you could actually see the machines, what users were actually on through that same panel where you
Oh,
could see
well,
your servers. That's what I was asking.
maybe I didn't write it down right, but let's let Tessia
I don't remember.
You mean users logged into, let's say,
Yes.
the Laserfiche server from there?
Yeah.
Right now we don't have that included, but
Mhm.
I would certainly put that down as a future request because I would label that as usage, right? Like how many people are logging in, actually using your system.
Yeah. I know where to go see that, but I was
Yeah.
just wondering if it was it was going to be visual on that same in that same view. I just thought that might be cool if you could actually see the machines as they're logged in and logged off.
Okay, no, I appreciate that feedback.
I do have a question also, and I don't know what this would specifically look like, but when you're managing an on-prem system, a lot of times you're going to be downloading client onto everyone's personal PC. If there was a place where we could record what version and which PCs have what version of client on them,
Okay.
something like that would be nice to have in a central location instead of keeping a separate Excel spreadsheet somewhere else.
That's the idea for this too, is hopefully to incorporate some of those client installs. Right now it's those main server applications, but we do hope that this evolves into all the installs that you may have to handle as part of the Laserfiche administration team.
That's all the questions we have right now, unless any other panelists have one, and I'll just chime in if we get another one from a customer or other attendee.
Awesome. Yeah, so in summary, Laserfiche Admin Hub for the initial release is targeted for you to be able to see that overview of your Laserfiche ecosystem, and ultimately to centralizing that log logs that you may need to troubleshoot or provide to support. So all that information, that server listing, application version, and logs are expected to be downloadable, so that way you can give that to the relevant party as you see fit. It skipped a page, but what we're talking about next is additional features that weren't explicitly in those prototype booths that we had at Empower, but they're very notable still. And the features that can be categorized into 3 main categories. One in usability, like that little app picker that is shown in that video preview. But beyond that, we have other usability functionality that we plan to have, such as simpler search, enhanced mobile capabilities. And then the second category is administration. You'll see updates to identity management, more powerful process controls, and ultimately system insights into what your usage and activity is looking like. And then third is deployment simplification. And I'll have a slide for this in just a minute, but how to simplify your deployments along with, being able to see the overview of your system. And an exciting thing is that we do plan to have an update out for Laserfiche Connector, addressing many concerns that we've seen in the past, and some refresh tooling for many of our products out there. Like I mentioned, a ton of usability enhancements coming, not just of App Picker, but overall UI updates for all of our applications so that it feels very seamless when you are in Laserfiche. So every single application is going to get the same UI refresh. But all of these usability enhancements that you see on the screen here actually came from many of you that gave us feedback or attended any of our webinars or any of our user groups that we may have had in the past. So I thank you all for continuing to be a part of our Laserfiche community. And if you have any more enhancements, feel free to shoot them our way.
I do have one that isn't in this, I don't believe in the system right now. So like when you're building forms and you've got multiple forms for one business process, a lot of times you copy the first form for the second form and then you tweak it how you need by adding or removing things. Would there be a way to copy specific things off of the initial form? So like maybe you copy out sections so you don't have to copy the whole form out, or you can copy tables. Something instead of having, because sometimes the first form could be a real doozy and the rest of the forms don't need to be that complicated. So you spend a lot of time deleting things as you're building. Whereas if you could just copy and paste what you actually need from the first form would be really helpful.
Okay. Back to the team.
Raphael actually asked that too during the demo. So thanks for bringing that up, Lisa.
Along with that, we are going to have an updated holiday calendar in which you could specify the non-business days that may be a part of your organization. There's options to observe, before or after that specified date, and it will be in a central location for ease of maintenance and also reusability. So that way you don't have to create 5 New Year's Day holidays. There's one to be used for your whole organization.
Oh, nice.
I mentioned earlier, deployment simplification, but the idea here is an updated installation ability so that you understand, well, what's new, how to find and download updates easily, and also get notifications. Like the admin hub, there is going to be a merger in the future, so that way you see a lot of these updates there too. But this is for actually installing all the applications onto your various machines, onto your client machines, etc. So that is an exciting update to actually deploying your various update packages. And for our timeline here, you double check. I think this is my slide, not Jerem's. Timeline for release over here. November is the targeted initial release for Laserfiche 12. And like we had mentioned throughout this presentation, it is not the only release for 12. We're going to be continually releasing Laserfiche 12 in multiple phases throughout the years. You'll see some of those core features that we had just described here earlier in the presentation, like metadata update enhancements, forms test mode, and admin hub as part of this initial release, but there will be updates to those as the years go on. And then throughout next year, 2025, there will also be additional features that are rolling out for things such as the desktop client, audit trail, DCC, and then as we go on, you see that there's a bunch of other components that will have the Laserfiche 12 updates along with it. A lot of exciting things happening for our Laserfiche 12 applications. And if you want to continually give us feedback, we are hosting customer panels. If you want to join, feel free to, I can also send the link afterwards to Mally and they could send this out. But what you can expect is that we will show various feedback points or topics at these customer panels, and you can have a very active voice in telling us what you may like or not like about those topics that we present on. So in July, we are going to be focusing on Laserfiche 12 feedback on a couple pointed items. We're still putting the agenda together, but if you want to come and join and give us your immediate feedback, it would also allow you to potentially look at pre-release prototypes and give us some feedback on those and collaborate with other customer panel individuals too. They're always a fun time, and so like these webinars, it will allow everyone the chance to voice their opinions and have that be made back to the product. I'll hand it back to Jared now to close it out.
Thank you, Tessia. I wanted to close with a reminder about the educational resources that Laserfiche makes available to you for free. They have pledged that all of the e-learning resources will be available the day the product is released. So the release of the new training will coincide with the availability of the new version of the software. Even more, they're offering a sandbox environment through the course so you can try the new software while you're learning about it. You won't just be watching videos, you'll have a way to click and test the things that you're learning. And as a reminder, these courses are available for free through Aspire, that's the Laserfiche training portal, as long as you maintain your software or support subscription. If you don't have an account or need help with your account in Aspire, just reach out to us. You can email us at customersuccess@momentumecm.com, and Mally will make sure that you're all set and ready to go. And you don't have to wait until the Laserfiche 12 release in November for this. There's tons of useful training information available now if you get your Aspire account set up. With that, we're kind of closing the scripted portion of the webinar, and we'll open up to any questions we haven't got to yet. I want to extend a huge thank you to our panelists who participated in the test drive at Empower, and they let Mally watch over their shoulder and take notes, and then followed up with her and spoke today. They're probably the best resource for the folks that attended the webinar to talk about why this stuff is important and how you use it. And I hope you guys can continue to collaborate with each other. I also want to extend a huge thank you to Tessia, who did the bulk of the work for this webinar in doing the presentation. She was the perfect host for this because she cares very much about your feedback and how well the software works for you. So thank you to everyone who was involved. I give you a round of applause through my camera. Also, Mally's going to post a poll at the end of the webinar, and we'd really appreciate if you just took a minute to fill it out. It's basically like, how frequently would you like to see these webinars? What topics are of interest to you, and so forth. And she's also going to email the presentation as a PDF tomorrow to everybody who attended. It's ginormous with the videos and so forth, so all of your email filters will block it, but we can make it a PDF and send it out, and she'll get that out to everyone tomorrow. So Mally, why don't you take it away and see if there are any other questions or...
Yeah. I do know Lisa had another question. Lisa, do you want to ask her about the associated image, the TIFF you were asking me about? You're mute.
When you're viewing in the web client or in the client and you go to the advanced and you get all this extra data about something that you've checked a document, I noticed it doesn't tell you whether or not it's a TIFF. So if you have an electronic, like a PDF or something, and say you generated pages and OCR'd the document as well, without opening up the document, you won't know if it's a TIFF image also. And I think that would be helpful to have something like that for information without having to open up the document.
Writing that down.
Lisa had another question, which I'll pop in because I keep making her talk. She asked if you can assign a business process to a specific metadata field.
Ooh. So is it just assigning the ID, or what are you envisioning here?
And I'm trying to remember what at the time.
We could certainly shoot that to Tessia after the fact.
Honestly, I don't remember.
Yeah, some ideas that I did hear from Empower was the idea of being able to reuse forms fields and metadata fields almost interchangeably, like not having to do an input here and then use some sort of save field over onto the other side if you were able to grab that information from both places. So maybe it was something involved with that, but if you think about it further, let me know.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of when you're putting it would be nice if when you're putting the constraints on like the form, that those constraints can go down without you having to recreate the constraints for the metadata and the repository, you know, so like when you're transferring the information from forms down to the repository, some of those kind of things with constraints and or conditions on the fields, so that they're built in for some fields. You might want to do it on everything, but there might be reasons to do that from time to time.
And I have one last one from Sharon's notes. So I don't think we're going to need to clarify this one. She wants to know, can certain fields be hidden during the creation process of the creation process of the process, or only in the finished document process / form?
Field rules will apply throughout the whole entire time. The document's either getting created, so when you're using the metadata pane, the field rules will already apply. So I hope I'm answering that question correctly. I think it's when the document is created. Is that correct?
Sharon, that sound right? You mute.
Yeah, I think that's answers my question.
Okay.
All righty. Well, we'll let you. I'm going to go ahead and launch the poll. So if you would please do that before you leave. But thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Tessia. Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Lisa, August, Raphael, Talib, and Sharon. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you guys so much. And I'm excited to see you guys use Laserfiche 12 in the future.
Thank you.
The poll is live, so go ahead. And I will stop recording, but if you guys need to head out, go ahead, but I will leave this up for polling. So thanks, everybody. Thanks for putting up with us. This was our first webinar. Thanks, guys. Tessie, I'll follow up with you later.
Trying to get my unmute button, but yes, it was lovely. Thank you guys for having me. Bye.
I can't check anything on my poll.
You don't get to poll because you're a panelist.
Oh, I want to do a poll.
I'll ask the same questions for all of you guys. Okay, I'll send them in an email. All right.
Time to go to bed.
Well, good job. That was a great webinar. Thanks.
Fun.
Together.
Yeah, let's try. So
Do this
I'm
like
gonna go
every other
ahead.
week.
I'm gonna stop the recording, but I'm gonna leave this up.